Naila, why is English language important to learn?
This is because English language is an international language and is widely followed and understood by people across the world.
I want to learn this language.
To learn every language, there are some skills to develop. Follow this class to learn these skills.
Our viewers, we welcome you once again to our program English Language on MTA Africa. We are having a series of lessons on relationship between clauses and our grammar. This program is about guiding us to understanding the English language. Our aim is to provide some simple basic guidelines to anyone who is interested in learning the language, and to be able to also solve the challenges students go through when they are confronted with the examination, either at school level or at external level. So those of us in the basic school writing the basic school examination certificate, and those of us also at the senior high level who will be confronted with external examinations will benefit greatly from this program. In today's lesson, we are looking at coordinating compound sentence clauses. We've already started discussing compound sentence, how to form them, and how they are being coordinated. A bit of it was given the last time we met. In today's lesson, we are moving into detail on how the clauses within the compound sentence can be coordinated properly. So let's look at our objectives for today. The objective is that by the end of the lesson, you should be able to 1. Mention the various ways of coordinating compound sentence clauses. Compound sentences have independent clauses. We should learn the various ways of coordinating them. So our aim is at the end of the lesson, we should be able to mention the various ways compound sentence, the clauses within them, can be coordinated properly. It is also our aim that we'll concentrate on 2 of these ways of coordinating the clauses within compound sentence, and that is the use of addition and the use of contrast. And then if we are able to do this perfectly, we should be able to then explain how we are able to coordinate our clauses within compound sentence by using addition and contrast. These are objectives for the lesson, and we shall be guided by that. Get ready, have your pen and books to follow us throughout the lesson. We have a small mental reflection on what we did the last time. So I expect you to respond to the various questions that are being displayed for us. Below are some clauses. Carefully link one clause to the other using the appropriate coordinator and or but. So we have 3 coordinators there, and, or, and then the third one being but. And then we are going to be given clauses. These clauses are independent clauses. Coordinate them, link them, bring these clauses together, that's 2 clauses together to form a compound sentence by using the coordinators given above. Note the clauses have been mixed up. So the clauses are mixed up, the various independent clauses that are qualified to be simple sentences in their own right have been mixed up. So look at them and try to link them to form a compound sentence. The first one is, let's not waste more time. Abigail got the house. Abigail got to the house. Don't let's talk about it. Don't let's talk about it. Would you rather take sandwich? That should be a question. So kindly put a question mark at the end when you write. Would you rather take sandwich? She met no one. Would you prefer coffee? So that is also a question. So you put a question mark at the end of it. Would you prefer coffee? So we spend 3 minutes in putting these simple sentences or independent clauses into compound sentence. So you use two. Go through them carefully. Find out which one can perfectly coordinate with the other. Remember, we are using coordinators, and the coordinators have been given. We are to use and, or, and then but. Now into the lesson for the day, coordinating sentences. In our last discussions, we learned that compound sentence is made of two independent clauses, as in 1. We invited the company, but they failed to turn up. So in this, we have a compound sentence, but the compound sentence is brought together, or it is out of two independent clauses that have been brought together. One independent clause being we invited the company. The other one is they failed to turn up. And the two have been brought together by the use of but. We learned something like this the last time we met. Henry got married and moved to his hometown. Another compound sentence with two independent clauses. Harry got married, one independent clause, and a simple sentence, of course. And then we have moved to his hometown. So remember, here is Harry moved to his hometown. But because we are bringing the two together, it is not appropriate to repeat Henry in the first clause and repeat Harry again in the second clause. So that has been dropped. The second Henry has been dropped in the second clause. So we have Henry got married and moved to his hometown, giving us one compound sentence. Now, the various independent clauses are linked together by a coordinating conjunction. Now, a coordinating conjunction can simply be termed a coordinator. So when you hear me use coordinator, or when you read and you hear a coordinator, it is simply referring to a coordinating conjunction. And two of the coordinating conjunctions, or two of the coordinators have been given, and but. So independent clauses are always linked together by coordinators. So let's have this in mind. And anytime you link two independent clauses by a coordinator, you are forming what is known as a compound sentence. When independent clauses are given equal importance by the speaker or writer, when linking them, then the concept of coordination comes to mind. This is what we said the last time. We are just trying to remind ourselves of what we said. Anytime you have two independent clauses or independent clauses, and the speaker is giving these independent clauses equal importance in his speech, and therefore he is compelled by rules of grammar to use what is known as a coordinator, because he is giving equal importance to these two clauses, then the idea of coordination comes to mind. The idea or the concept of giving equal importance to the various clauses is something the writer or speaker decides in his mind when expressing his ideas. So it isn't something that just comes out of the blue. The writer or the speaker has something to say to you the one listening or to the one who will be reading. So this idea that is in the mind of the writer brings it out by saying it or by writing. So when the speaker or the writer does this, with the idea that I'm giving equal importance to what I'm doing, coordination will definitely have to come to play. This enables anyone going to read or listening to the speaker understand perfectly what the person is saying. Your understanding of what you are communicating to others should help you to decide the level of importance you give to your clauses. So you are the one communicating. What exactly do you want to communicate? How important is it to you? What is the kind of weight you put on what you are saying? Having these in mind will guide you to use the best coordinating conjunctions or the best coordinators. Equivalency within your clauses can be carried out through the use of the following. 1, addition. You can show equivalency in what you are saying. When we're talking of equivalency, we are meaning that you are putting equal weight on your clauses. You can do this through different ways. One of the ways is by the use of what is termed addition, by the use of result, which you had explained a bit of it the last time we met, then by the use of contrast or choice that we make. So these 4 areas are open to us in order for us to show equivalency in our ideas in independent clauses. We shall pick one for now and discuss that one in detail. Now let's see how we can coordinate our sentences using addition. The coordinating conjunction, that's a coordinator used in addition, include and, also, besides, both, furthermore, likewise, moreover, then. These coordinators help us to express the idea of what is known as addition. So let's take note. Anytime you want to coordinate, you want to use a coordinator, or you want to use a coordinating conjunction, it simply means you are putting equal weight on your independent clauses in your compound sentence. Anytime you are doing this, and what you are doing is an additional kind of information you are providing. We have these coordinators available to us that we can use. We can use and, we can use also, we can use besides, you can use both, furthermore, likewise, moreover, and then. Each one depends on the circumstance you are expressing yourself. Even though some are interchangeable, but most often it is determined on the circumstances within which you are expressing your idea. Addition here means that the speaker brings another independent clause that gives additional information to the previous clause. So let's take note. When we are talking of addition, you said something and you are adding another information. What we are simply saying that you, the speaker, the addresser, you are adding a further information to a previous clause. You've said something, but you have more information. You are expanding that information further. And that expansion is like you are adding something that is important, very important to what has already been said. So when you are doing that and you use any of those coordinators above, you are doing what is known as addition. Let's see the following. Henry got married and then moved to his hometown. So here, Henry got married and then moved to his hometown. Of course, we have 2 coordinators there. Deliberately put. We write this and we read this in books. One could go away. You could say Henry got married and moved to his hometown. Or you can say Henry got married, then moved to his hometown. But at times you meet these 2 kind of coordinators put together. and then, so Harry got married and then moved to his hometown. Here, Harry got married, after which he then relocated, that moved to his hometown. So let's take note. One action happened. After that, another one occurred. And you are placing equal importance to these two. So the writer or the addresser perfectly does that by using the coordinator then or n. So Henry got married, after which he then relocated or moved to his hometown. The second clause, that's Henry moved to his hometown, brings additional information to the first clause, Henry got married. So let's take note. The second clause we have in the sentence, which is Henry moved to his hometown. Remember, it should have been Henry got married and then Henry moved to his hometown, but there's no need to repeat Henry again. There's no need to repeat Henry. Therefore, we had Henry got married and then moved to his hometown. So that second clause, moved to his hometown, Henry moved to his hometown, that independent clause, is adding an information to the first one. Very important information to the first one. It should be noted that the writer or speaker gives equal importance to each clause. Here, what we're trying to say is that the importance the addresser places on Henry getting married is the same as the same importance is being placed on Henry moving to his hometown. So one is not under the other. Both are important. So if you are listening to the one saying this, the speaker is telling you that both actions are important in his discourse or in his discussion with you. The speaker is clearly indicating that both the marriage and the relocation of Henry are important factors in his communication. And therefore, the situation of a compound sentence having two independent clauses brought together by a coordinator comes in mind. So here, it isn't that Henry's marriage is more important than his relocation. No, both actions are very important to the speaker. Now we'll move to contrast. Now this is a situation where one statement appears to be a little bit contradictory to the previous one. And how does this appear? At times, in the mind of the speaker, a clause is needed to illustrate complete unexpected outcome from a previous one. Now, something has happened. And then it is expected that what will follow should occur in a certain way. Unfortunately, or for one reason or the other, the next action doesn't happen the way it is being expected. Then contrast comes in. And then the one addressing you will want to illustrate this. And how does it come by? If what happens is in contradiction to what should have been the usual case, a situation of contrast occurs. Something happens. And what is expected to happen next is completely the reverse way. It didn't happen the way we all expected it. Natural circumstance should have expected it to happen. So when you have this situation, to help us understand, the term contrast is coined for us. So here there is contrast. It means one independent clause and the other one do not seem to agree in terms of how things should have been. One is in contrast with the other. One is opposing the other in a certain way. Coordinating conjunction, or the coordinator that help the writer to indicate contrast include but, however, yet, nevertheless, still. So these coordinators that help I and you to easily speak to our listeners or to communicate to our audience that one particular issue and the other, there's a contrast between them. There's a kind of contradiction between them. The coordinators that help us to do this, we have but, however, yet, nevertheless, still. So we have these among them that we can choose from. When any of these coordinators are used, we naturally expect a negation to what has been said already, as in, we invited the company, yet they failed to turn up. So here you see, the natural tendency is that when you invite someone, the person should honor your invitation. But in this case, the person was invited or the company was invited, the company didn't turn up. So the second clause, the company, they failed to turn up, that second independent clause, doesn't agree in terms of natural causes of event with the second one, with the first one, which is we invited the company. It is an expectation that as far as the company was invited, the company should have honored the invitation. However, in this case, it didn't happen so. So the coordinator that indicates contrast, yet, has been used to join these two independent clauses. Abigail got to the house, still she met no one. So Abigail got to the house, one independent clause. She met no one, another independent clause. It's expected that the natural outcome of Abigail's going to the house should be that someone should be there. So Abigail's going there. The purpose of Abigail's going there is to meet someone. Abigail got there, no one was there. So we have these two clauses indicating contrast brought together by using the coordinator still. So Abigail got to the house, still she met no one. We invited the company, but they failed to turn up. Abigail got to the house, however, she met no one. So you see, Abigail got to the house, however, she met no one. In sentence 1, the natural expectation is that the company should honor the invitation. The company, however, could not. The writer therefore linked the two independent clauses perfectly by the use of but, however, that's in the two sentences. So we see that the writer, in letting us understand that the second clause in each of the sentences is in a form of contradiction to the natural outcome of event, and to display that perfectly and letting us know that equal importance is being placed on each of these independent clauses. The coordinators but and however were used. It will be grammatically wrong and without meaning if the writer had used either and or to join the two clauses. So let's say, for example, the writer has said, we invited the company and they failed to turn up. It doesn't sound the best. Or if the writer has said, Abigail got to the house, or she met no one, it also doesn't sound the best. It doesn't make sense when you want to analyze it. And grammatically too, it doesn't agree to the rules of grammar too. So the best coordinators, because the two statements seem to be in contradiction with the other, the best coordinators you should choose will be the coordinators that fall within the contrast group. So we have the but, however, still, yet, available to us to choose from. Let's have more example on the use of addition and contrast coordinators. The vendor left the house and went straight to the bank. So here, the understanding is that the vendor left the house, and immediately the vendor left the house, what the vendor did next was to move straight to the bank. So the second independent clause is adding additional information to the first clause to tell us the completion of the first action. The police investigated the murder case but brought no report. Here, it's expected that if a police launches an investigation into a case like this, a criminal case like this, they should certainly come out with a report as to whether they were successful or not. But in this case, the police didn't. So the second action of the police is in natural contradiction to what is expected of the police when an investigation is carried out. So to bring these two ideas together perfectly well, the coordinator but is used. So the police investigated the murder case but brought no report. We can substitute but with any of the coordinators that we have under contrast. So the police investigated the murder case, however, brought no report. Remember, in the second clause, the second independent clause, it should have been the police brought no report. But of course, as I said, there's no need to repeat police again in the second independent clause. So it is being dropped. So the police investigated the murder case, however, brought no report. The political parties promise freedom. Nevertheless, they provide prison ultimately. It is expected that anyone who provides, who promises to give you freedom, when the time arrives for the freedom to be granted, it should be granted to you. The person shouldn't do the reverse. But this is a case where we have the situation happening, that the expected outcome of the action of promise of freedom, it doesn't happen exactly. There's an opposite completely happening here. So we have an action that is completely going contrary to what is expected. So the writer or the speaker bringing these two ideas together uses the contrast coordinator nevertheless. Now we have the fourth one. The class ended about 3 minutes ago. Besides, we have nothing against it. Here, one action, the class ending. Then there was no need to go against it. So an additional information adding to the fact that the ending of the class actually doesn't affect anyone's agreement. So we have the two being brought together. The class ended about 3 minutes ago. Besides, we have nothing against it. Besides can be substituted with any of the addition coordinators. I'm one of them, and I stand by them at all times. Here are the two independent clause. I'm one of them. I stand by them at all times, having brought together by the additional coordinator, which is and, to indicate that the second independent clause is adding a further information on the first independent clause, which is I am one of them. Then we have the sixth one. I'm one of them. However, I absolutely disagree with their views. In this case, even though the person is one of them, it's expected that the person should agree with them, because you can't be part of a group and yet go against a group. But this is a case where the person is with them, doesn't agree with the views of the group. And therefore, the writer makes this clearly by demonstrating to us using the coordinator, that is, however, which is a contrast coordinator. So we have, I'm one of them, however, I absolutely disagree with their views. Remember, the comma can be taken off. So you can say, I'm one of them, however, without any comma, I absolutely disagree with their views. This is where time will permit us to be with you, hoping to meet you again in our next lesson. Until then, we say enjoy your stay and be on time to be with us with your pen, your books for our next lesson. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.